We have got so much. The deaths of 16 in Australia, the Rob Reiner killing. You've got service members killed. And why is President Trump taking this opportunity to look bad? None of it makes sense. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let's begin. We're going to start in Australia. I mean, we could have started at Brown University where 2 were killed. We could have started with U.S. service members killed in Syria. Why are we dealing with the Syrians? Well, there is reason. And then the death of the actor, director, Rob Reiner, who I will say quite clearly, his politics, awful. I thought he was a mean-spirited man. I thought he was indecent. I didn't wish for his death. Him and his wife stabbed to death by their own son, years in and out of rehab, homeless. There's a story, for sure. And then there's President Trump's completely insane response to it on social media that isn't worth defending, shouldn't be defended. And the people who defend it, there's a reason they call you cultists. Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find it all at TonyKatz.com, live streaming. As anywhere you are, whether it's youtube.com/Tony Katz, Twitter X, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. You have 16 killed in Australia. This was an attack by Islamists. The purpose of this attack was to kill Jews. You had Jews there celebrating Hanukkah, started last night, lighting candles, being with friends, hanging out on Bondi Beach, a place I've never been. I'm sure it's beautiful. But I had already said Australia is not on my dance card. I'm not going to Australia. I'm not going to any country that thought it rational, reasonable, or acceptable to recognize the state of Palestine. That, I said then, I'll say it now without apology, is rewarding terrorism and terrorists. That is to say, you can murder 1,200 people at the Nova Music Festival and other places on October 7th, 2023, and be rewarded. It is rewarding terrorism. It is rewarding Islamists who want the worldwide caliphate. That is weakness, not strength. That is valueless. You're not getting my money. I'll go other places, a lot of other places to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind Australia. I'm not going to eat the Vegemite, but I'd like to see the town. Now, Bondi Beach may have been a nice place to go. Might have been a nice place to go. But when they made that decision, I said, I'm going to go other places. These people are celebrating. 2 men, we call them men, father and son, Islamists, with weapons that were acquired legally. It's not easy to get a gun in Australia. They have massive gun laws in Australia. You don't get a gun for personal defense. You have to prove it. This is a may issue place, not a shall issue place, where they don't view gun ownership as a right. They view it as a privilege. You have to prove your reason to your government to get a gun. I could think of nothing more ridiculous and shameful, really. They do not allow semi-automatic weapons. So these Islamist murderers had bolt-action rifles. Maybe one of them, the younger, still a grown man, maybe he had training because he was moving rapidly with this bolt-action rifle. Maybe more rapidly than you and I. And they started shooting at the crowd assembled. They were on like a pedestrian bridge, just shooting away with no one to stop them. Police were in the area, seen hiding behind cars. All of a sudden, it's Parkland all over again. They don't run in to stop the threat that's killing high school students there at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. No, they wait for some reason. And Sheriff Israel, remember him, defends that. I only hope that guy has no job to this day. I don't even know if he's still around. I don't know if he's still alive. I am thrilled to have forgotten about him. These police officers in Australia did not stop the threat. They didn't. These guys just opened fire. And they kept shooting, and they kept shooting, and they kept shooting, and they kept shooting. At one moment, one of the shooters gets rushed by a man on the street who gets the gun from him. Gets the gun from him. Now, as people will tell you, that man who stopped the shooter, he's Muslim. So you see this, you're anti-Muslim. I am not. I am anti-Islamist. Islamists are against civilization of all kinds because the Islamist who had the gun taken from him, he gets back to where his son is. For some reason, they didn't shoot that guy dead. The Islamist got back to where his son was, grabbed another gun and started firing and shot that Muslim man twice. I hope he is still alive. When you have an Islamist in your sights, one must take the shot. Don't get angry with me. If you don't take the shot, they will keep shooting at you. I watched it with my own eyes. I watched that video transpire. So I learned something from it. I'm sharing it with you here. The people upset, who cares? Those are people who are hell-bent on their own destruction, and I've got no time for them. We have no place for them. We're too busy dealing with what's happening. Islamists are a destructive force against Christians, against Jews, and against other Muslims, against all Western civilization, and they have to be stopped. Mass migration must come to an end, and Australia has to recognize that their leadership is garbage. Recognizing a Palestinian state is to support terrorists. So why don't you stop it, Aussies? You're wrong. You, the Canadians, the Brits, you're all just wrong. The Spaniards. You picked the wrong side. You picked the side that's coming to kill you. And if you take a look at the UK, they're winning because they're winning. This was an attack on Jews on a Jewish holiday to kill Jews. End of list. And I, in the United States, will still come across Jews, my people, my people. We're supposed to be the smart ones, from what I'm told. And they're going to say, you know what? We're going to vote for Democrats here. What are you doing? I'm going to hear from ridiculous liberal white women who are going to tell me that, oh, my words are bigoted. I am relaying to you what took place. If the relaying of information is bigoted, I don't know what to tell these people except liberal white women are the dumbest people on the planet because they will excuse any pure raw evil, including the evil that is coming for them and their children. Islamists are evil. If you want to have a worldwide caliphate, if you want to kill people for practicing their religion, if you're just after destroying societies because you want them to submit, which is, of course, what you want, well, that's incompatible with Western civilization or any civilization. And liberal white women are like, you're such an Islamophobe, as if somehow that's a real term. When you listen to the Aussies, and you listen to their leadership, what they want to tell you is, well, you know what it is?
Government is.
What we need is more gun legislation, not less.
The government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. And this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals. A review of licences over a period of time. People's circumstances change. People can be radicalised over a period of time. Licences should not be in perpetuity. And checks, of course, making sure that those checks and balances are in place as well.
No country is like the United States, where we view gun ownership as a right, not a privilege, which it is. Thank goodness for the Second Amendment. I support it more than ever before. And yes, I'm fully aware of what happened to Brown University. I will dig into that story as well. Man, if more people had firearms there in Australia, this could have gone better. Some people are very upset by such a statement. What they want to tell you is, well, this is just proof that we need even further gun legislation. The gun rules in Australia are incredibly strict. Didn't stop those who had murderous intent. And then you have the people who are ignorant enough to say, thank goodness they don't have semi-automatic weapons there in Australia. Thank goodness. Imagine if they had an AR-15. And you realize at that moment the cravenness of some people, that's an argument that they're making and that they think it's valuable. An AR-15 or not an AR-15, that is not the issue. The issue is the intent. And the question for the Australians and the question for us and the question for Western civilization is, why would you allow people into your country who have this intent? I'm not allowed to ask that question. I'm not, that can't be asked. I think it absolutely has to be asked. I think a recognition has to come that the murderous intent here came from their, well, you see, people are going to say religion. If you want to argue religion, Islam is a religion, one can. I see it as a political system. And all of these things are done in the name of the implementation of the system, that system being incompatible with Western civilization. It is us or them. Some people are like, that's just a broad brush. You can't paint that way. I can. Because the man who took the gun away, the problem there is that is not the rule, that is the exception. Because if I take a look at every single situation, take a look at every attack, take a look at every Christmas market that has had a car drive through it. Take a look at the fact that in Paris, they've canceled their New Year's Eve events in the Champs-Élysées. Why? Because of the illegal immigration and the mass migration that they have allowed in. Their problem is Islamists. And the left will get upset that we have eyes and we notice. We have to notice. The issue was not whether it was an AR-15 or a bolt-action rifle. Well, more people could have been killed if it was an AR-15, so thank goodness they banned AR-15s, is a very messed up thing to say. The counter to that is, if everybody on Bondi Beach had been armed, these shooters would never have shown up. They would have known better. But since they had the guns and the people don't, look how easy it was. These cowardly Islamist bastards said it's so easy to kill these people. And so they did. They knew there would be no response, no reaction. I don't know if they knew that the police would hide behind police cars, but neither here nor there. But if everybody in Australia had been armed, agreed, you could not have stopped the first shot or the second shot. Maybe not the third one. You could have stopped the fourth shot. You could have fired back. You could have fired back and you could have saved lives. The argument is not in favor of more gun control. The argument is in favor of law-abiding citizens being able to protect and defend themselves. That is the only argument. That's the totality of the argument. The answer is, if the Aussies had been capable, if Australians had been able to defend themselves and fire back, lives would have been saved. Oh, maybe not the Islamist lives, but hey, screw them. The innocent people on that beach, they're the ones I think about. Because one day it's going to be me at my local synagogue. One day it's going to be me at some event. One day it's going to be you. The argument is not for less. The argument is for law-abiding citizens to be armed and trained. Armed and trained. That's what we need. 16 dead in Australia, and it's a lesson for everyone else. This is their standard operating procedure. And the last thing we need is more ridiculous liberal white women, whether it's in the United States or in the leadership of Australia, and I'm talking about Prime Minister Albanese there, pushing the idea of more liberal policies. They don't work. So let's stop utilizing them. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. My gosh, who let all the trolls in here? Listen to me carefully, trolls. Doesn't matter. I delete and I move on. You have zero power here. You can't bother us. You can't do anything. We laugh, we move on. That's it. That's it, kitten. You ain't nothing. We're still here. Now, it's a problem because one of you is going to now try and do something very dangerous because that's how it's going to go. Matt is asking how I am. So let's be perfectly clear about a couple things. I do not walk around fearing every moment of every day. I am aware, and I don't think I'm different than you. I think you're aware of what's going on. We did an upgrade to security after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You can only do so much. You can only do so much, and that's it. So the answer is, how am I? As fine can be. Very thankful that I live in the United States. Very thankful that I'm an American. This is the spot to be. For sure. By the way, did you hear about this thwarted terror attack? Landon, see if you can find the story. This just broke. A thwarted terror attack in LA. And for, yes, those people who are listening on like Alexas or live streams, yeah, there's been a problem with the live stream playing in loops and everything else all day. It's been very, very weird. So how can you not be thankful to be an American? I mean, that's just, I mean, if your point of that post is, hey, how can I get attention by being just there? I mean, what's wrong with you? How can you not be thankful to be an American? That's shocking. I'm not thankful for the 0 degrees out. That has kind of sucked today. Aside from that, thank you very, very, what is that? Hold on a second. This just in. Okay, that's not that. Thank you, producer Landon. So I will get that, and then I'll get to Syria. I mean, all the headlines are just brutal today. Brutal. And then the Rob Reiner stuff we'll get into as well. Wait, your man is not your date for the red tie? You're not taking your man to the event on January 24th? January 24th, tickets.tonykatz.com? What is... good Lord. I mean, it's going to be good. It's going to be incredible. I mean, you got to get your tickets. Tickets.tonykatz.com. It's going to be amazing. And I'm making some changes to it on the fly because while I love a good party, we got to talk about the midterms. And I am taking a look at data I don't think anybody else is looking at. And I'll be bringing it all to you, and we'll sip bourbon and we'll get into it. It's going to be amazing. Tickets.tonykatz.com. There it is. Trump 1 year later. How we're going to win the midterms. Cannot wait. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets right now. Producer Landon, bring us back. So this is all breaking today. The story regarding Australia and Jews targeted. You've got service members killed in Syria. You have the shootings that took place at Brown University, where somehow nobody knows anything. Nobody's got a video. They had somebody of interest. They let them go. So you can just walk in and start shooting up classrooms at Brown University and no one knows anything? Madness. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. And then, of course, the Rob Reiner story. I've got a very interesting comment from President Trump regarding the midterms that goes along with what we've been talking about here. That's all coming up. But the story here, and you've got this reporting from the Hill. This is right here. A terror plot targeting California was disrupted. Pam Bondi with the announcement that took place earlier today, and there was a press briefing that was put forward. I'm going to bring that to you because I didn't get a chance to hear any of it. Listen.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Asaley. I'm the head of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California. Over the weekend, my office, along with the FBI, arrested members of a far-left, anti-government domestic terror cell who self-identify as the Turtle Island Liberation Front. The individuals were arrested on Friday, December 12th, when the group attempted to construct and detonate IEDs out in the desert. In addition to the arrests, we executed several search warrants throughout the nation. I want to thank our partners at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Louisiana, U.S. Attorney Zach Keller, and the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Lee Foley, for providing valuable assistance over the weekend with a very complex and coordinated search warrants that were.
That is nuts. I mean, this started breaking like an hour ago, like mid morning, late mid morning on Monday. This whole story of who these people are and what they were doing. You have Pam Bondi writing, after an intense investigation, the Department of Justice, working with our FBI, prevented what would have been a massive and horrific terror plot in the Central District of California. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, a far-left, pro-Palestine, anti-government, and anti-capitalist group, was preparing to conduct a series of bombings against multiple targets in California, beginning on New Year's Eve. Holy cow. And there was an arrest made, according to Kash Patel, in New Orleans that has connection possibly to LA. This story is still developing, still breaking. I'll bring you more when it comes out. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. This is nuts. It's a psyop. Well, fantastic. As long as you have it understood that it's a psyop, I guess everything is fine. Why is it so hard to believe? Why do you call it a psyop? Let me go that direction. What proof do you have that it is psychological warfare on we the people? Now, I agree with you. I have no idea why they're called the Turtle Island, because that does not sound tough at all. Turtle Island. You want to visit Turtle Island. You want to play with the turtles on Turtle Island. I don't know, maybe feed them some lettuce. Wait, Turtle Island is what? The poly-terrorists? Turtle Island is a name for Earth or North America used by some American indigenous people and indigenous rights activists. Now that's Wikipedia. No, that's why it's called that? No kidding. Or there's a story about Turtle Island. Yeah, Turtle Island is the name for the lands now known as North and Central America. Oh gosh. The idea that the earth was formed or this land was formed on the back of a turtle. Are you kidding? I live and learn. Because I had heard that before, right? I'd heard that story. And Native Americans thought that the land was on the back of a turtle, and others. I had heard that before. Okay, excuse me. Sorry, someone's being ridiculous in the chat, and so now they're gone. Just that easy. That is nuts. That is something else. But meanwhile, they're always the same. Always the same. With the rhetoric and everything else and the madness. We will come back in 60 seconds. All right. We will get into Trump's tweet about Rob Reiner. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculous. It so makes no sense. By the way, there was a Hanukkah incident in Amsterdam, but I haven't heard much more about it as of yet. This takes us to what took place in Syria. And what took place in Syria is horrible, where 2 U.S. service members were killed. Tony Katz today, find it all, TonyKatz.com. And there's a real question of what are we doing with Syria? Why are we palling around, if you will, with the Syrians, especially when you consider that Syria is now run by a guy who was our absolute enemy because of his connection to ISIS and his attacks on Americans. And yet he was welcomed at the White House. What exactly is going on? Everything that has taken place since the fall of Bashar al-Assad has been seen as a positive development. And, is this an example of realpolitik? Maybe. Life under Bashar al-Assad was horrifying. You can argue that there was stability, but there wasn't stability because, of course, there was terrorist movement throughout Syria. The Syrian people did not benefit from this. And Bashar al-Assad is a guy who took dissenters or took those who disagreed with him and engaged in all sorts of outrageous torture. When Assad fell, and the reason that he fell had to do a lot with the Russians being unable to provide the hardware and the services that they had. Syria mattered greatly to the Russians, and it was utilized, those cities there on the coast, as a warm water port for the Russians. This a problem, certainly, you could argue, for the Israelis, but more so for the United States. So when the opportunity came that Bashar al-Assad was removed, and of course he escaped to Russia, where I believe he's believed to be, the Syrians did not, with this new government, say, we're running a totalitarian state. They said, how can we help? Now, that's not totally true, because the Druze community, D-R-U-Z-E, they were scared out of their minds, and they turned to the Israelis and said, will you please annex our land? We're right there next to the Golan. Will you annex our land? We would rather be Israelis. These people are going to kill us, and you won't. That's right. The Druze understood that the Israelis are not genocidal. Only the American left and people who associate with Medea Benjamin think that Israelis are homicidal or genocidal. Hey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm talking to you. By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be on The View 2 days after she resigns from Congress. 3 days later, she'll have a job with CNN. I'm surprised she doesn't have the job already. It's shocking to me. So the Syrians started providing assistance in rooting out terrorists and other people that we were looking for. So much so that Trump reduced sanctions on Syria. And the applause came from the political right and the political left. It was very, very, very clear that people saw this as a really new opportunity and a chance not only to rethink Syria in the structure of the Middle East, but to put an end to Russia's involvement. Remember, Russia was giving capabilities to the Syrians on one side. The other side of that was the Iranians. But after the Iranians started getting smacked around by the Israelis, they were engaged on that front. They couldn't give the help, the assistance, the financial support to the Syrians, to Bashar al-Assad, and therefore there was no money, there was no planning, there was no anything else. That was the end of it. So the opportunity now is a Syria that is not fomenting terrorism, not being forced to foment terrorism, certainly not torturing its own people, and is more Western looking than Eastern looking, or certainly Northern looking towards Russia. And it keeps Russia's options limited, which is not a bad thing. Now, I believe, as we have discussed, it is very clear that President Trump is in this, I was going to say reenactment, but that's not the right way to say it. This rethinking, remaking, repositioning, maybe that's the best word, you tell me, of the Monroe Doctrine, and saying, listen, other things are happening around the globe, and it's not that we like them, but the Western Hemisphere is ours. It belongs to us. We are in charge. Let no one bother us. And that's clearly the case here. But also you see where the positioning is being made. Talk about Syria. How about the selling of the F-35 strike fighters and the M1 Abrams tanks to the Saudis? They don't need M1 Abrams. They don't need the M1s, the Abrams tank. Right? Isn't the M1 isn't the same thing as the Abrams tank? I don't have that wrong, do I? They don't need that. But if you think of, as others have described it, if you think of Saudi Arabia as a land-based aircraft carrier, man, it's a place to launch from. If you need to have words with the Iranians or anybody else, you can really, really, really quick. Unquestionably. So Syria matters. So the United States is doing work in Syria. And that's where 2 U.S. service members and a civilian were killed. This was an ambush by a lone ISIS gunman. letting you know that these terrorists are still in these places. And the last thing they want, the very last thing they want, is American influence, American involvement, American anything. Now, I will tell you that that's also an argument made by some in the U.S. We shouldn't be involved here. We shouldn't be involved there. We shouldn't be involved in these things. The question for us is, are we really better off not being involved? If we're not involved, somebody else is involved. I think if I understand the argument properly, the stuff that they referred to as neocon was the idea of being involved in all these conflicts, being a part of all these conflicts, and writing all these checks and spending all this money. Well, the philosophy was, and it did work for a great number of years, that if you pay these people, you keep them on your side and you keep other forces from having them on their side. And you're better off in the long run. All things being, of course, completely imperfect. I think there's an extent to which we allowed a level of overextension. I don't think the policy was specifically a bad policy, but the policy can't be put on with a broad brush. There might be some places where this doesn't work. You can't go through life thinking that mistakes were not made and that the United States didn't make mistakes when it comes to its foreign policy, when it comes to its engagements. That's got to be the craziest thing any of us have ever heard. But because mistakes were made, the concept of the policy was so dreadful that you want to keep some groups close to you to ensure that other groups don't get close to others. No, that's still a good policy. That is still a valuable policy. And of course, there are those like ISIS who don't want that to happen. So you get this. Pete Hegseth coming out and saying, let it be known if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life, knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you. Well, I like the response, and this shooter was killed, and maybe some other people have got to suffer for taking out U.S. troops, for killing U.S. service members. But this is our Syria connection right now, and I am not opposed to this. I'm opposed to troops dying. I'm not opposed to this Syria connection. Do I trust the Syrian leadership? I say to you, no. I am much, much, much more wary of the Syrians than others I know. And to the chat room, we're $38.4 trillion in debt. We're using payola to make friends. There's another way to look at this. Those things aren't the only reason we're in debt, so I don't want to use that as a complete argument. The question before us is, do those dollars have a value that we can see as tangible? That's the question. I've got a host of government programs that I can say to you right now, don't provide a tangible, valuable result. Of course, we should get rid of them. Is ensuring the Russians don't have a foothold here, the Chinese have a foothold there? How does one measure that? Are we measuring it solely in the money that we spend? That's my argument in response. But I hear you, but it's my argument in response. I do not trust the Syrians. I don't. They haven't proven that yet. There's a long way to go. But the relationship there and the working together, this is going to continue. Whether you like it or not, inconsequential. It's going to continue. But everyone has to understand, and certainly I would always assume that service members do, that anytime you're in any of these places, you are under threat. And in the choice, let us make sure that our soldiers are always ready to go, and always with the order to protect themselves by taking out the enemy. Unquestionably, that has to be. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Everybody's crazy. Everybody is crazy all the time. They don't have to be, but they choose to be. The chat room is reminding you how to do comments. No. It's that, I guess, if you look at top comments and not all comments show up. You have to look at all comments to see everything. So I don't know how YouTube does it. Sonny Hostin has questions. Do I want to bring that? Maybe I could do a story that doesn't involve someone being killed. Rough. Brutal stuff. I almost expected a press briefing today. It's not today. There was one last week. Not today. All right. There's that. There's that. And get rid of that right there. Just putting some stuff together, guys. Sorry. All right. Got it. All right, let's come back to the show. I'm watching people on Twitter defend Trump's comments regarding Rob Reiner. And if you want to say to me, well, Rob Reiner did it, that's not the argument. Dear Lord, Posobiec, I know you're coming to town. I'm going to debate this to you. This is not a good argument for defending Trump's comments on Rob Reiner. It's just not. I'll get into it. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Just making friends left and right. There are other things going on in the world, including that Kamala Harris seems to be taking steps towards running in 2028. Oh, should I play it? It's been a while. I can do it. I don't mind. All right. Well, listen, y'all asked if she's going to run in 2028. I can't find it. I can't even find it. I'm just mortified. There it is. I was searching for it. She launched her book, 107 Days, which no one cares about. It's just like Joe Biden's presidential library. No one's donating to it. The quote was that Joe Biden will be lucky to get a bookmobile. Never mind a library. No one wants this. No one wants to be reminded of Joe Biden. It's like Barack Obama. Did you know that Barack Obama is not building a presidential library? It's a presidential center. And because it's a center, not a library, the documents therein are not controlled by the National Archives. I didn't even know that was a thing. So it won't be run by them. It'll be run separately. I don't know what Barack Obama is hiding. I do know that he has built a gross bloated obelisk in the middle of Chicago. But Kamala Harris thinks that there's an opportunity for her to get back in the game. And there was a reception, and the head of the DNC, Ken Martin, introduced Doug Emhoff, her husband, as the former second gentleman, and said that he could be a future first gentleman. Remember, first lady, if it's a female president, it'll be a first gentleman. It is fascinating because I've got a fair ego. I'm not shy about this. How can you be Kamala Harris and be like, nope, I'm still going to get this? What is that? What is that like? You failed as miserably as you did. Nobody was interested in you at all. Everything about your Vibes campaign was a lie. It was a farce. It was manufactured nonsense by a media apparatchik. No one misses you. And your argument is, oh yeah, let's put me back in, coach. No. I was born for this. I've already been through it. I'm already battle tested. You've never sat through a primary. You ran for president. You didn't make it to the first state for a primary. Then you got selected to be the vice presidential nominee, and you got selected to be the presidential nominee. No primary ever took place with your name on it where you had to prove yourself and get votes. On a nationwide scale, it didn't happen. And she's still there. All right. Hey, let her run. Her, Jasmine Crockett, I'm down with all of it. Absolutely all of it. More to get to. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Hold on. Basobic. And we agree about some things. We disagree on other things. And you don't defend Trump on Rob Reiner, no matter how gross Rob Reiner is. That's the point. Rob Reiner was despicable in his politics and in his attacks. What's the point of matching it? What's the win there? Don't you want to win? Don't you want to win? Meanwhile, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, I believe, are meeting today. I don't think that's going to do any good either. I don't think so. Meanwhile, here's what's going on. The show is in radio break, so we will be in radio break. We're going to take a break now. Smoke them if you got them. Stick around, and we'll be back in a little bit, all right? Good. Keep it right here. All right, we good? All right, man. I'll be back in a bit. All right. Welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. A lot of madness. A lot of anger and a lot of madness. The pseudo tough guy, Trump supporters. If you cannot admit when a mistake exists, I don't know what to do with you. You don't say anything. And then, of course, there's the people like you are the problem. Guy just said to me, people like you are the problem. Yeah. Anyway, coming back to the radio show. Sorry, guys. So President Trump said something that had me shaking my head in agreement. That we're not quite sure yet how the midterms are going to go because we cannot fully comprehend how the voter is going to accept things. Especially when it comes to the economics. When it comes to the economics, how are people going to look at the election? Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything I do at TonyKatz.com. Right now, not well. Midterms, if held today, Republicans lose. And they lose in large measure. That's fact. If it's about the economy, stupid, it is what it is, what it is. No one sees the prices as going down. No one sees the value proposition going up just yet. And I say this as a man who fully understands I'm better off with Donald Trump in office than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris in office any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't regret my vote for a single second, even when the president does things I find despicable. Stupid. Because I know it's him, not some cabal actually running the country without him, as what happened with Joe Biden. And those people want to teach us about morality and decency? Sit down, Pete Buttigieg, and be quiet. I'm going to take lessons from Kamala Harris? From Anthony Blinken? No, not a chance. MSNBC, sorry, MS Now, going to lecture to me about how to be a good person? No. But when I see Trump failing, I'll damn well say so. I have no interest in pretending something is smart when it's not smart. This was unbelievably honest. Unbelievably. So it's an interview, and Wall Street Journal has the story. He's saying that the efforts to secure investments in the U.S. haven't fully taken effect yet. Well, I know somebody who's been saying this, and that somebody is me. It has been us. It has been we. We have been the ones engaged in this conversation. President Trump was there standing next to the First Lady, and he's there, I believe, at the White House and speaking about tariffs.
To an extent, because without the November 5th election, you would have had a president that didn't have the courage to use tariffs the way they should be used. And because of the tariffs, we've taken in more than think of this, $18 trillion. There's never been anything like it. As an example, the previous administration, Sleepy Joe Biden, took in less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We took in more than $18 trillion in 10 months. I'd say that's pretty good, right? I'd say that's pretty good. And if you go back into history, there's never been a country that's taken in more than $3 trillion.
Now, he is not talking about the tariffs. He's talking about the investment. And his argument is that the tariffs have allowed for the deals to be reshaped and for this investment to be made. But in this interview, because the tariff is a tax, this is of course the facts, and the tariffs have brought in money, but it's our money. It's our money, we're paying it. He discusses in this interview and admits that the money from the investments has not yet hit the ground. When the investment hits the ground, you will see a result and you will see the growth. This has been our argument. Money promised is different than money deployed. It's like when a nation says, we're going to buy billions of dollars worth of American beef. Saying so doesn't mean anything. Buying the American beef, writing the check clearing, that means a whole bunch. That's the story. And that is why people do not yet feel anything in terms of relief. Scott Bessent, who I was told, listen, I would love to have the conversation with the secretary, and we should reach out to him and do all that. He heard me on Sean Spicer's show say that we're not doing a good enough job telling this story. And from what I hear, he was not thrilled. You know what I've noticed since then? And no, I don't take credit for it. He's telling the story. Bessent is doing an outrageously good job of explaining, here's what we're doing, here's what's coming, here's what's going, and here's where the result's going to be. The result is going to be this, this, and this. So, for example, he's doing a very, very good job about the One Big Beautiful Bill. Most people don't know that the One Big Beautiful Bill that got passed in July, but that did not at all have any effect on our economy. And the reason it didn't have an effect on the economy is because, well, it doesn't go into effect until January of 26.
President Trump has closed the border. 2 million people have gone home, so check on immigration. Bond market had the best year it's had since 2020. Interest rates are down, mortgage rates are down. We're starting to see life in the housing market. And rental rates are down about 5%. I expect they'll be down 10 or 15 from the peak. And then 3, inflation, we're working on that. The energy prices are down. Gasoline nationally is now below $3 a gallon. It's below $2 in a couple of states. So I think we're on a very good track on inflation. And I'm also the IRS commissioner as well as the Treasury Secretary. And I can see that the president's signature initiatives in the one big beautiful bill, and I tell you, he fought harder than anyone for these. No tax on tips, no tax on the overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility. That the bill was passed in July. Working Americans didn't change their withholding, so they're going to be getting very large refunds in the first quarter.
Now, if that's the case, good. And certainly the thing about cars is really interesting that you'll be able to deduct the interest. He's now telling the story, and he has to go about doing that more often because Besson's the adult in the room. He's very good at this. He has a credibility bar none. You absolutely believe him. Even the people who don't like him believe him. They don't think that he's making it up by any stretch. Now, in the comments on the live stream, Jack wrote, "It takes time to reverse catastrophe. Can't just poof prices lower." I agree, but it wasn't shared like that. Are gas prices down? They are. But it's certainly not down in a way that makes people feel like, my gosh, things are great, because they were up so much. Trump's constant argument is that everything is so easy to do. But the problem with that is that you set the expectations, and politics is an expectations game. It's a total expectations game. You must set them properly. You can't say things like, "Oh, Russia, Ukraine, I'm going to end that on day one." And then you get held to the ridiculousness of, why didn't you handle that on day one? I'm going to bring prices down. Well, egg prices were up for a while, and now they're down. And he gets no credit for it because there's no real story being told about it. Sean wants to know where gas prices are down. Well, across the country, it was, was this for Thanksgiving? It was at $3 a gallon, which was down, which was the lowest price within that 5-year term. It was actually tied with the price when Biden was in office, and that was the national average. So if it's not down specifically in your area, like, for example, you might be as you are in Philadelphia. I appreciate you listening to the show, man. Thank you so much. I'm in Indianapolis. Our gas prices aren't great. The reason our gas prices aren't great is because even though we're allegedly a Republican state, we have garbage gas taxes. They're freaking everywhere. We have a gas tax on everything, all over the place. And so therefore, we are not a good example of where prices are, because the prices aren't, we don't get to live just the prices. We have these outrageous taxes. Now, Matt will tell you that in the southwest part of Indiana, a place called Terre Haute, gas prices are down. Nathan is in East Tennessee. He's at $2.34 a gallon. You're $2.34 a gallon? All right. East Tennessee, huh? What is that? Is that like Knoxville? I could sing Rocky Top. Pack the van, producer Landon. We're moving. Hold on, this just in. My family said, "Oh, hell no, we're happy where we are." Sorry, Tennessee. But did I tell you I have to make a trip to Memphis? Did you know that in Memphis there is a barbecue place called King Jerry Lawler's Ribs? King Jerry Lawler's world famous barbecue. I got into a political conversation with the guy who owns it, and I was like looking at his bio. I didn't know who the dude was, and he's got a company. It's a holding company. One of the things is this King Jerry Lawler, the wrestler, King Jerry Lawler's Memphis Ribs. I'm like, oh, we're coming. And so, yeah, right now I'm planning that trip. I got to make that happen for sure. Because ribs. And it's going to be Memphis, so they're going to be pork ribs. Don't tell my rabbi. But I'm still coming, dang it. The president engaging this conversation, honestly, is everything. Because it is the opportunity to reset the conversation that has become an insanity regarding the idea of affordability. Everybody wants to point to, look at how Mamdani won the election in New York, talking about affordability. That isn't how he won the election. It was something he talked about. But in a city of 8 million people, he got 1 million votes. 25% of the voting electorate showed up. 2 million votes cast plus for mayor. He got just over 1 million. He got 12.5% of the vote. Based on an activist progressive class that showed up to vote. Now, it's a problem. Please don't get me wrong. But the idea that the affordability conversation took hold around New York isn't true. He squeaked by with just over 50% of the vote. But if we talk about the generalized cost of things, let's not even talk about food. Let's not talk about gasoline. Let's talk about insurance. Health insurance, which is a far different thing than health care. Let's talk about homeowners insurance. Car insurance. Now, I'm told car insurance is going to go down. I haven't seen it yet. There are a tremendous number of places where the costs are too much and people are saying this is becoming untenable. No, not is becoming. This is untenable. So for President Trump to make the statement that, listen, we've done this good work and we've got these things together, they're just not happening yet, but they will. Some people will view that as excuse, right? Some people will believe that, oh, that's just an excuse. I disagree vehemently. Now, the question is going to be, is it too late? But I see this as a start of the conversation. I should say it actually started a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. This is the start of the recognition of where people are, what is actually happening, and the promise of here's what we've done, here's the result. If I listen to Bessent, if indeed people see refunds of large scale, my gosh, look what we got back. Hey, look at what the One Big Beautiful Bill did for you. Hey, look at what we're happening here. You can build a momentum conversation on that. Take the narrative away from the political left, and that can bring you success, which is why I have an event that I'm doing January 24th, 2026, Trump 1 year later. It really is a look back, a look ahead, and how we win the midterms. I am now completely focused on this in a very, very aggressive way. When I tell you that this is not lost, I mean it in every sense of the word. If we were at this stage and the Trump team was still not learning and listening and recognizing where they'd made mistakes and where to correct, yes, I'd be seriously concerned. I think they are. I think it takes time for some other people in the influencer class, which is, I think, a nonsense class, and others more time to learn because they're too busy saying everything Trump has done is perfect. It isn't. Honesty is the better policy here. This is the right move. This interview is fascinating. Now what you need is results. Money from the investments, the claimed investments, the $21 trillion hitting, and people getting jobs, manufacturing growing, and then a larger tax return, people getting more money because there's no tax on this, that, and the other, even if I disagree with the policy. That's something to build on. That's something to grow on. And that is where the opportunity is. Interesting interview from Trump. You can find it over there at TonyKatz.com. I put up the show sheet every day. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Hold on a second. Ozzy, what's wrong with you? Why would you give me a thumbs down? This show is spectacular. Your mom says so every single night. How much she loves this show. She thinks it's the best show in the world. She told me so. She's like, it's the best show in the world. I said, thank you. And she said, oh, the radio show's good too. So what are you getting upset with, Ozzy? What's wrong? Show us on the doll where they hurt you, Ozzy. What's wrong? What has you bothered? Good gosh. By the way, Philadelphia and Knoxville, and guys, thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. Love it. Absolutely thrilled that you're here, and happy that we're growing with good people. Okay, some people who are nuts. Ozzy is angry. I don't think Ozzy should be angry. Hey, Pete. See, Pete's not angry. Pete's just like, hey, how you doing? Doing all right? He's a good man. He's a good man. Now, Nathan, you're asking a good question here about what took place at Brown. I will get into that. I have got that on the list. I'll put Brown right here. Oh, I didn't even get to the CNBC things. Oh gosh. Oh, that's my shame. Sometimes I get too into it. So, c'est la vie. All right. Did we lose Ozzy? Is Ozzy no longer with us as he's trying to give us a thumbs down? Look at that. Nothing but thumbs up. Nothing but great thumbs up. Nothing but love and joy and all sorts of good things. Oh. I have spent as much time as I can staying out of talking about Candace Owens. And as of late, I've been forced to, and really had the conversation the other day about whether or not I had made a mistake. Was I supposed to address her madness earlier? And I can't say that it haunts. I think I may have used that expression. It's one of those things that aren't I better off ignoring? And I think the answer is no. You're not always better off ignoring. You should at least be engaged in a recognition and saying so. At least I think in my place as I do the show. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Appreciate it if you do that. Head on over. Well, if you're asking, I think Candace Owens is a gross conspiracist who is very, very adept at saying nothing to make it sound like it's something, not providing the backup to it, and saying things like, it just looks a little suspicious. Yeah, it's just suspicious. As if somehow that is in and of itself enough to satisfy anybody who is looking for, I don't know, proof of name the thing. And she has been all about Charlie Kirk's assassination, inside job. His friends had to sign off on getting him killed. They wanted this. It's horrifying stuff. And Candace Owens said, well, anytime that Erica Kirk asked me to stop, I'll stop. And Erica Kirk was on Fox. She said, stop. And Candace Owens said, I'm more than happy to stop lying if you could show me where exactly I'm lying. She has no intention of stopping. She's very good at this. Very good at the manipulation and everything else. And now they're having a meeting. I think, is that happening today? Is that happening today? And people have thoughts on whether or not they should meet. I think that the overarching idea of if Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, thinks that Kansas is going to stop because of a meeting. No, I don't believe that'll happen either. Do I think that the people who say that Kansas will misrepresent the meeting have a point? Yes, I do. Do I think that this is what Candace does? Yes, I do. It's only because I don't know her, because she's proven it. And I don't know if Erica Kirk will even get the credit for having the meeting to begin with. This is Tony Katz today. Yeah, it's not at all what I would have advised to do. But I'm not in charge. Right? Not in charge, and no one asked what I think. There it is. Sorry about that. I just don't think it's going to work. As I've said about Charlie Kirk, I'm not. I was never specifically a fan of the debate style. I wasn't. I never was. I always thought it was him batting around kids. They were of no match at all or in any way. Right? None. And so it always struck me as too easy. But what I did not give, I think, enough credit to was the other side of that, which is, my God, he was really connecting with a lot of people, and a lot of bringing religion back and everything else. And that is something. Not coddling. I said I wasn't a fan of the style. I didn't mind the response. I didn't mind in educating. I didn't mind the setting straight. I thought the style involved, okay, ask your question, and then I'm going to respond to that with a question, and then, as opposed to just answering it direct, and then engaging in the joy of making the other person look stupid. And it sometimes hit me the wrong way. And you could argue, well, that's a personal thing, right? You thought it was fine. And it very well could be, which I never really, talk about it like that. But I will agree, they are college age adults. They are adults. Absolutely. But I just, something in the style wasn't for me. That's all right. But the response, the result, pretty impressive, right? Pretty incredible. And I feel bad about the idea that here is Erica Kirk, I think, going in with good intentions to have this conversation. I just don't trust that Candace has those same intentions at all. Not in the slightest. I could be surprised, but what are the odds that I'm going to be surprised? So that's that. Dear Lord. Oh. It's about winning, people. It's all it's about. It's all I'm trying to do. Why would anybody make it difficult? Why would Trump make it difficult? Why would the MAGA folk make it difficult? Just win. It's all I want. All right, let's bring it back. It turns out that everybody's favorite new host, Sunny Hostin. Hold on, this just in. She's nobody's favorite host? Oh, I, for one, am shocked. She cannot believe that people are so angry.
I used to think that gun violence was just an American phenomenon, and now we see this sort of anti-Semitic attack in Australia
on the first day of Hanukkah,
yeah. Which is so disgusting and disturbing. And then, kids going to college at Brown in the middle of finals, getting murdered. What are those families going through? Why all of this sickness and hatred going around the world, not just
and it's all.
Maybe you shouldn't have defended all those Columbia students who told Jews they can't walk on the campus. Maybe you should have stood up on your platform long ago and said, this is disgusting and you leftists are wrong. Maybe you should admit that Islamists are the enemies of Western civilization and all people, and we don't have a place for them in society, whether it's in American society, Western civilization, or the globe, and it's us or them. So we're going to have to fight in order to make sure we're free of their radicalness. Possibly, Sunny Hostin. The world isn't a sweet, loving place. It is a place that requires, at times, force to ensure that the true evil doesn't get to rear its head. And the rest of us are going to have to deal with an imperfect system that does the best it can and gives people the maximum amount of liberty. Tony Katz today. Great to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. The Brown University shooting that killed two, one of whom was the vice president of the college Republicans. College Republicans at Brown. Inside a classroom, taught by the same professor who also teaches Jewish studies. So there's a question as to whether or not this was targeted, and there isn't an answer yet because they had a person of interest. And that person is no longer a person of interest. That person of interest, or the shooter, yelled something. The firearm had a unique characteristic. Yelled something before the shooting. What that is? Oh, they're not going to tell us. Oh, we don't get to know. Oh, you can't know that. They've got 9 billion security cameras everywhere, except on the campus of Brown University. No one has video of this guy. No one. No one has video. They've got a video of a guy maybe with him walking away. By the way, that's a good point, Ann, about Sunny Hostin. If you take a look what happened in Australia, you can't blame Americans and you can't blame white people. I'm sorry, but you have to say it right. She wouldn't just say white people. She would say white supremacists. She can't blame who she wants to blame, so therefore now she doesn't understand. And when the rest of us do understand about Islamists and do understand about people who are violent and do understand that people have been ginned up, like in the United States, when you keep saying that Trump is the enemy of democracy and Trump is a threat, and a threat to democracy over and over and over again. It was a call for a lone wolf. And that's what MSNBC did. And that's what CNN did. And then someone tried to kill Donald Trump and then tried again. Thank goodness that dude never got a shot off at Mar-a-Lago. It's the same mathematics that led to us the assassination of Charlie Kirk, undoubtedly. But Sunny Hostin is shocked. What is causing this? I am stupefied. I'm just stumped. You're not stumped. You just don't want to admit what the problem was, or what the problem is, what the problem continues to be, and how you deal with the problem. And none of it is nice because you can't love your neighbor enough. You can't love an Islamist to the point where they stop. Do you think your love means anything compared to their idolatry? To their fanaticism? You think too much of yourself, and you think too much of love. You cannot, as a member of Western civilization, think that someone who doesn't believe in Western civilization is going to meet with you and understand the guidelines that Western civilization imposes. I don't know how you I do not know how you do such a thing. So here we are looking at Brown University and realizing we've got nothing. There's no suspect. There's nothing to go forward with. You have this woman who was killed, and now they've identified the second victim, an 18-year-old. They're on a scholarship. An Uzbekistan immigrant came to the United States for a better life. I mean, how are you not horrified? No camera has this up. No one's been able to get anything. It's madness. And then it may be in the most maddening story of the weekend, which I don't know how you rank these things. I put Australia maybe higher. Rob Reiner and his wife are murdered in their home by their son. Now, there's a lot. I never paid attention to Rob Reiner's personal life. Rob Reiner, the director, I mean, he was the actor going back to All in the Family, but director. Spinal Tap, Princess Bride. I mean, a host of films. Rob Reiner did Misery. Movies that we've watched. And a terrible politics we'll get to. The report was that 2 people were found dead in Rob Reiner's house, but there was no ID, and then you learn that it was Rob Reiner. Then you learn that his son, Nick, has a history of drug issues. He spent time being homeless. And as one story reports, they were at a Christmas party and they got into a fight. I think the Christmas party was being held by Conan O'Brien. That's how I had read the story. Now, we may get more information. It may not have been him. Right now, all signs point to the fact that he has got a violent past, a drug-addled past, and he killed his parents. That's the story. I can state 2 things clearly. Rob Reiner didn't deserve this. I would not have wished this on Rob Reiner or his wife. I'm told his wife was a photographer who actually took the picture of Donald Trump for the cover of his book, The Art of the Deal. Someone can double check me on that one. Remember, Donald Trump was a guy you wanted to be associated with until he ran for president. Then they decided to lose their minds. And no one had lost their mind more than Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner was despicable in his politics. Hateful and awful and terrible. I do not have a kind word for the man. I can argue that he didn't deserve this. I would not wish this on anybody. I think about things like, did he watch his son kill his wife? It's horrifying. Horrible. But I put forth to you that Rob Reiner engaged in some of the most horrific conversations. Lies about President Trump. Lies about the political right. Hateful, vile commentaries. He wasn't somebody that I respected. The movies are the movies. The man was less than. I can say that as clear as day. He's dead. Move on. President Trump did not move on, and this is now a very large talking point. President Trump decides to put out a post. The post reads, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood." This is President Trump speaking. "Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. That, kids, is stupid. Now, I've already seen people on social media, people I like and people I don't know, saying, this is fine. Look at what Rob Reiner said here. Look at what Rob Reiner said there. I'm not going to feel bad. I'm not going to go weak on this guy. You're all ridiculous. No. The objective is to win. The objective is to win. And this now makes everybody talk about this. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And the left cheered. Now, not everybody on the left cheered, but enough people on the left cheered to make everyone go, what the hell is wrong with you? Because there's something wrong with them. Well, they set the rules. We're going to play by them. You want to win. How does this help you win? How does this help you get anywhere? A mocking of Rob Reiner in this way to make it about you. His son killed him. It's horrifying. And I can speak about Rob Reiner politically easily. This is mocking his death, and Americans see it differently. Americans, you're going to need to win the midterms. What's wrong with you? Caroline Levitt and Stephen Chung don't know how to tell you to sit down and shut up? Let me explain this to you, Mr. President, in a way that might make sense. You work for me, and I don't give a damn about your personality. I want to win. Don't make my life difficult. Don't have that much opinion. Don't have that much personality. Don't be too cute by half. Lower the taxes, lower the cost of groceries, lower the cost of insurance, keep kicking ass on the border, and dear Lord, we can win. That's the goal. That's the job. Keep the people who want to mutilate children under the guise of gender affirming care out of power. That's the goal. Don't make my life difficult. Can't you just do the goal? Can't you just do the thing? Just do the thing. So yeah, this is gross. This is stupid. It is. It is what it is, what it is. And I've got people from MAGAville defending it. Yeah, but Reiner said, I know what Reiner said. I didn't excuse what Reiner said. I thought he was a scumbag. This now becomes the story. And people remember, and you have a more of an uphill climb. Don't make my life difficult, Mr. President. That's not why I voted for you. If I wanted a difficult life, I would have voted for Kamala Harris, and I'd be called a racist and a sexist every day. Don't do stupid things anymore. And maybe, if you've got a team that said, oh, that's a great idea, maybe it's time to let them go. This is Tony Katz today. That was weird. Welcome back, guys. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. We'll see if we'll see what backlash there is from my commentary. But yeah, I never lose sight of that. He works for me, and I just want to win. That's all. What else do we got, guys? What else is going on? There's that. There's that. Get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. That's gone. Welcome back to you. Let's get back to these comments. Hold on. Ben's being a fool? Who's Ben? Oh, there's Ben. Hey, Ben, how are you? Now you see, Ben, first of all, welcome to the show. This is a fantastic comment when the desire is destruction and not engagement. How many jobs did we lose this year? Well, at the last report, 1.1 million. But do you ask why, or do you care? Which one is it, Ben? See, if you care, you'll realize that the AI inclusion going on with companies all across America and all around the globe, they're laying people off to implement these things. And you are discounting the trillions that have been invested in AI and have created wealth in other ways. Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't want to necessarily lose jobs. But if we're going to agree that technology is happening and advances are happening, well, this is going to happen. But again, are you honest, or are you looking for a political narrative? It's just a question of what you're looking for. Anyway, glad that you're here. I brought up that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be on The View after she resigns from Congress, right? Yeah, she's going to be on The View like January 5th. She resigns, or January 7th. She resigns January 5th, right? I mean, this is not surprising. I'm surprised that she hasn't been. I'm surprised that she hasn't been hired by CNN yet. But there is a story about how U.S. Special Forces raided a cargo ship that was going from China to Iran that they claim was transporting dual-use military technology. This was the Wall Street Journal with the reporting. As a special operations team boarded the ship several hundred miles from Sri Lanka, seizing the cargo. If China is helping to arm Iran, how do you create deals with China? And why in the world would we allow the H200 chip from NVIDIA to be sold to the Chinese? Why? Why in the world would we allow this? This should be another reminder. It's the communist Chinese. They can't be trusted. They can't be allowed to educate their children in our universities. They can't have access to our AI. You can't allow their companies to be involved in 5G and the Internet of Things and creating those protocols. It's the writing's on the wall. It is what it is. So I'm curious to learn more about this because this is a big story. It has not gotten big coverage at all. And I think that anytime you're taking a tanker or a ship, I should say, from China to Iran, and you're involved in some kind of technology that can be used for the military, we should be talking about it. This is Tony Katz Today. Good gosh. Cannot allow Chinese nationals, Chinese communists to be in our universities. And I just threw somebody out of the chat room for using slurs against Chinese people. I just don't need it. Not interested. No thanks. I'm done here. Guys, I appreciate you. Thrilled to see everybody here. We start every day at noon, and that is the plan. Don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com, and I will see you on January 24th. Trump, 1 year later, is the Red Tie Gala. It's going to be absolutely sensational. We're going to be talking about what has happened and how we're going to utilize that and what has to happen in order to win the midterms. We're going to drink bourbon. We're going to eat well. We're going to do the whole thing. January 24th, Saturday night. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Do it. Make it happen. Come join us. Get your tickets today. Make that come alive. Guys, appreciate you being here so very much. Can't thank you enough. Noon tomorrow is when I'm back. I will catch you then. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.